So you know why Colin Kaepernick isn't playing right now in the National Football League? It's because he decided to do a silent, respectful protest against police brutality during the national anthem. By the way, the national anthem, the only reason football players are out there during the national anthem is because the military paid the NFL to have them come out. So it's paid patriotism. It's not actual patriotism. It's marketing. That's not patriotism. So that's what's going on with the NFL. And anybody who has a problem with Colin Kaepernick kneeling down during paid patriotism, which is fucking nothing more than marketing, is a jackass who doesn't really understand what this country's about. So there you go. And he's not being allowed to play because of it, right? So there's all these teams are owned by white guys. And because, blacks don't know how to own teams. And so that's why. And those white guys, totally on their own merit, rose to the top of the profession. And they own NFL teams. That's what it's like. They work their way. And there's a lot of sarcasm in this report, ladies and gentlemen. And so now what's happened? Colin Kaepernick's not being, even though he was a Super Bowl quarterback, he's only 30 years old. How old is he? 30? 29?
He's like 29, yeah.
He's very young. To peak of his physical powers, not being hired. Isn't that weird? Even though, well, look what happened in Tennessee. Titans planning to sign free agent quarterback Brandon Weeden. With starting quarterback Marcus Mariota hurt, the Tennessee Titans are planning to sign free agent quarterback Brandon Weeden, a league source told ESPN's Field. Weeden was cut by the Houston Texans last month before this. So this guy isn't even good enough to make a team. Colin Kaepernick was the Super Bowl quarterback. See the difference? Mariota was diagnosed with a minor strained hamstring following an MRI. He is considered day-to-day, and Titans coach Mike Mularkey isn't ruling him out for Sunday against Miami just yet. The Titans will have plans for Mariota and backup quarterback Matt Cassell this week. Mariota does not need to practice to play, and Mularkey said the quarterback decision might not be made until right before the game time on Sunday. So they'd rather go get this guy who's not good enough to be on an NFL team with almost zero experience, as opposed to a guy who's fantastic at the peak of his physical capabilities and a former Super Bowl quarterback. I don't know. What do you think? What do you make of that, Steph and Ron? What do you make of that?
Well, it goes even deeper than that with this particular case, because the Titans, the way they've been playing so far and the way Mariota plays, they do what's called like a zone read offense. And what that means is the quarterback gets the ball, they're looking. If the linebackers are focused on them, they might give it to the running back, like a quick pass or a handoff. If they blitz some of the secondary, they might do a quick pass off to a receiver. If nobody's really focused on them and they're focused on the other offensive players, they might take it, tuck it in, and run.
The quarterback might.
A quarterback might. For that type of offense to succeed, you need a mobile quarterback, which they have with Mariota. When Mariota went down against, I believe, the Texans last week, they put in Matt Castle, who is not a mobile quarterback, and the Texans beat the pants off of them after that. They were not in the game at all after that. Prior to that, the Titans were competitive. You know who is a mobile quarterback? Colin Kaepernick. You know who Tennessee is considering for quarterback? 4 quarterbacks and Matt Castle. None of them mobile quarterbacks. So it's like their offense revolves around having a mobile quarterback. That's clearly what they need to succeed. Colin Kaepernick sitting right there. They're not even considering him. I mean, this puts to bed any of the, well, he's not that talented. Like, no, this is an offense made for him. And the guy's sitting right there. He's available.
Jimmy, my position on this is they don't want Kaepernick to influence anybody on the NFL. And if you take a stand, they're going to get rid of you and pretend that there's going to be somebody capable to fill your shoes. And they can't.
Well, how ironic, right? This whole thing about patriotism. Colin Kaepernick is being an ultimate patriot, of course, because he's trying to make a positive change inside of his own country. He's fighting injustice inside of his own country, which there's nothing could be more patriotic than that. And these guys are like, oh, he's not patriotic, so we can't hire. These guys are just the scum of the earth, pandering. I'm talking about the owners of the NFL teams, pandering to racists and pandering. Oh, we might lose money, so I don't care. Screw that guy. But it also might help your bottom line, because I stopped watching because of the way nobody's hiring Colin Kaepernick. And people say, oh, you don't mind if they make themselves brain damaged? No, that's a choice they're making as a grown-up adult, and they're being paid lots of money to do it. Just like boxing, just like MMA, just like somebody who wants to skydive. That's their choice. They're grown-ups. They can make that choice. Colin Kaepernick is being discriminated against. And here's Max Kellerman. He's going to break it. If you don't believe me, listen to another white guy break it down for you.
Something about this, because I'm serious about that, because in this country, these things are seen far too often along racial lines. And if you see African-American people speaking about this, it feels as though that it's a racially segregated issue, which it is in many respects, unfortunately, because anyone who is socially conscious can see what's going on. Colin Kaepernick, and by the way, Colin Kaepernick showed leadership, because a lot of others had followed his lead.
Yes.
But what happens when someone shows leadership, and this even you see it in labor relations? You know who never got paid? Kurt Flood. You know who got paid because of Kurt Flood? Everyone else. It is very possible what we're seeing now is a sacrifice of Colin Kaepernick's career on the altar of social and racial progress. And when he doesn't get a job, and I did not come out right away when they said blackballed, right? I did not come out right away.
Max, preach.
Yes, that's what's happening, because I thought he's looking for a starting job. Maybe he's seen as a bubble starter. You got to change your offense. He'll get a backup job. But now the results are in. The evidence is in. He does not have a starting job. He does not have a backup job. 31 of the owners are old white men, right? And precisely the issue that Colin Kaepernick is protesting is systematic racial injustice, which starts with the international slave trade, the Middle Passage, the institution of slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, ongoing systematic oppression, which has created racial imbalance in terms of social justice. That's essentially what Colin Kaepernick is protesting. And the fact that then an almost exclusively white club of owners, because unless you believe that black people are intrinsically inferior at making money, I guess that's not true, right? Unless you believe that, then you also understand that the fact that the NFL is an all-white club at the ownership level, essentially, is a result of that injustice. Think of the irony that he doesn't have a job, partly because he's protesting the very reason that right now he doesn't have a job.
Hold on. Wow.
So think about that. He's protesting systematic racial injustice and oppression in America, and right now he doesn't have a job because he's the victim of systematic racial injustice and oppression in America. Yeah, just the all-white club that runs the NFL. You heard Max Kellerman break it down for you. So that's the ironic thing, and now there's no doubt what's happening with the NFL. The NFL's blackballing Colin Kaepernick. No doubt that's happening. And it's happening because he stood up against injustice. And they're going to make an example out of him. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no way. I mean, and even like beyond the Titans, the Raiders don't have anybody right now.
Right.
The Raiders started. It's like, you want to tell me there's no job for Colin Kaepernick?
Right.
No way. No way.
The Oakland Raiders just broke a bone in his back, their quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And he's 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. Out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's happened. So I don't know how you feel about your NFL. Maybe you like to ingest a little racism with your sports. I don't. So I'm not going to be watching this year. It's tough. It's tough to not watch, right? Because I'm a football fan. I like watching football and whatever. But I can find something else to do on Sunday, and I'm gonna. Okay. Portland, Oregon, the Jimmy Dore Show is coming to the Alberta Rose Theater November 12th, and we're going to Burbank, California, November 6th, and the Hollywood Improv on October 16th. There's a link for tickets right down there. Go to jimmydoorecomedy.com for all links for all shows.